All right, let's settle this once and for all, because I see this question everywhere. What's the lowest amount I need to live off dividends? People throw out numbers like 100K, 500K, $1 million, like there's one magic answer. So today, we're doing the real math in plain English with real life assumptions. And by the end of this video, you're going to know your number, not some random number from the internet. Quick disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor. This is educational. Investing involves risk, dividends can change, and taxes matter. We're using estimates to build a realistic plan. Live off dividends. What does that actually mean? When most people say live off dividends, they usually mean, I want my bills paid from dividend income. I don't want to sell shares to cover expenses. I want something that feels like monthly cash flow. But here's the thing, dividends are not a paycheck. They can go up, they can go down, and some companies can cut dividends. Even dividend ETFs can reduce distributions during rough periods. So when we say lowest amount, what we really mean is, what's the smallest portfolio that can produce enough dividend income, reliably enough to cover your lifestyle after taxes, with a safety buffer? That's the real goal. Start with your monthly spending number. Before we talk investing, we need your spending number, because if you spend $2,500 a month, your lowest amount is going to be totally different than someone spending $7,000 a month. So let's use 3 common lifestyle targets. $3,000 per month, lean, basic lifestyle in many areas. $5,000 per month, solid middle lifestyle. $8,000 per month, higher cost areas, family, more comfort. Convert those to yearly. $3,000 per month equals $36,000 per year. $5,000 per month equals $60,000 per year. $8,000 per month equals $96,000 per year. Cool, now we can do the math. We need a realistic dividend yield assumption. A lot of people make one of 2 mistakes. They assume a super high yield like 8 to 12% and think they can live off way less money. Or they assume a yield number is permanent, like it never changes. For an actually realistic, sustainable dividend strategy, especially with dividend ETFs, most people are typically working with something like 3 to 4%. So today, we'll use 3% conservative, 3.5% reasonable middle, 4% more aggressive or optimistic. And here's the simple formula. Portfolio needed equals annual spending divided by dividend yield. Let's run it. Goal A, $3,000 per month equals $36,000 per year. At 3%, $36,000 divided by 0.03 equals $1,200,000. At 3.5%, $36,000 divided by 0.035 equals approximately $1,028,000. At 4%, $36,000 divided by 0.04 equals $900,000. So even to live on $3,000 per month, you're realistically looking at about $900K to $1.2 million. Goal B, $5,000 per month equals $60,000 per year. At 3%, $2 million. At 3.5%, approximately $1,714,000. At 4%, $1,500,000. Goal C, $8,000 per month equals $96,000 per year. At 3%, $3,200,000. At 3.5%, approximately $2,742,000. At 4%, $2,400,000. So the lowest amount depends on your lifestyle, but we can already see a pattern. If you want to live off dividends only, the number is usually high because safe yields are not crazy high. And now we've got to talk about the part people ignore. If your dividend income is coming from a taxable brokerage account, you may owe taxes on those dividends. A lot of dividends are qualified, which can be taxed at lower rates, but your actual tax situation depends on your income, filing status, and your state. So let's keep it simple and use a rough estimate of 15% effective tax on dividend income. If you want to spend $60,000 per year, you might need about $60,000 divided by 1 minus 0.15 equals approximately $70,600 before tax. Now run that at 3.5%. $70,600 divided by 0.035 equals approximately $2,017,000. So that 1.7 million number can easily become 2 million when you add taxes. This is why people feel like the goal keeps moving, because they're not calculating the spendable after-tax number. Here's the truth. If you build your entire life around the exact minimum, you're going to feel stressed because dividends can fluctuate and expenses pop up. Inflation is real, and sometimes the market has a rough year. So when people ask me what's the lowest amount, my answer is don't target the minimum. Target the minimum plus a buffer. A realistic buffer is usually 10 to 25%. So if your math says you need $60,000 per year, maybe you target $70,000 to $75,000 capacity. That way, you're not living on the edge. Now, I'm going to say something that's going to sound controversial, but it's actually how most real retirees do it. They don't rely on dividends alone. A lot of people use a mix: dividends, interest, and a small amount of selling shares during certain years. Because if you're diversified and your portfolio is growing long-term, selling a small percentage can be totally reasonable. And this is why the 4% rule gets discussed so much in retirement planning, because it's about total return, not just dividends. I'm not saying you have to sell shares. I'm saying the lowest amount becomes much lower if you allow a small, controlled withdrawal strategy, especially with a diversified portfolio. But if your personal goal is no selling shares ever, then yeah, the portfolio needs to be bigger. So here's the clean takeaway. If you want to live off dividends only, and you want it to be reasonably sustainable, the lowest portfolio size is usually $900K to $1.2 million for about $3K a month, $1.5 million to $2.0 million plus for about $5K a month, $2.4 million to $3.2 million plus for about $8K a month, and that depends on yield, taxes, and how much buffer you want. That's the real math. Now, I want you to do something. Comment your monthly goal below. Is it $1,000 a month, $2,500 a month, $5,000 a month? Write "live off dividends, dollars per month," and I'll reply with the rough math estimate for how much you'd need using conservative assumptions. If you want, in the next video, I can also show you a simple dividend roadmap, how to go from your first $100 per month to $1,000 without chasing risky yield. Hit like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.